Welcome to another video from Auto Garage Life, and we're back in the garage here doing steering wheel restoration part 2 on the 2013 Mustang. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll put it up in the cards, which we did some button replacements, some trim, and off camera I did some kind of leather restoration. Wasn't happy with it, still feels bumpy, so we have got a new cover, and as you'll see here, this is from Eastdetailing. And they do custom covers, leather covers for your steering wheel. And it's not just a custom one that you pop on with some elastic around it. They're actually custom cut and made to suit your car. So let's have a look at this one. Wow. So this one is carbon fibre at the top, nice and soft, and then I got perforated leather for the sides and carbon fibre at the bottom. And as you can see, it's cut for the two spokes on the side, and it's cut for the spoke on the bottom of the Mustang wheel. Right, so let's put that to the side. And this comes with a kit with some tape, a trim removal tool, and I asked for red thread to go in between the stitches. And we get a little instruction manual here showing you how to sew and showing you what to do in terms of tying it off. So yeah, I won't bother reading that. Yeah, we'll read that first before we do anything. So first thing to do is to go and test fit this on the car, make sure it does fit before we proceed, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so I've just put this on loosely, and oh, is it going to be so much better than the stock one. Now, the stock one, what I did off camera was, you can see there's some lumps and bumps on the leather. It was quite worn down to the white fabric almost in some places, particularly over here. And although I've leather filled it and put leather paint over the top, I can still feel every little bump when I'm driving, and things like that just don't agree with me at all. So I need to get this. So this is soft carbon fibre here and perforated in the edges, and as you can see, it's cut for these spokes. It's not cut, it's cut with some extra. So what I think I might do is take these trim panels off, or at least loosen them at the edge, so that these will fit in better and they'll fit in a bit neater without having to pry the edges of these leather flaps in. But this is looking really good, and I'm really looking forward to getting it installed. So I think we'll be starting down here at the shorter areas, but you're supposed to tape this on first, but it fits pretty much perfectly. So let's go and tape this on now, and we'll see how it looks. No, in fact, let's try and take these trim panels off a bit, then we'll tape it on and we'll see how it looks. When you're putting this on, it is labelled from the factory from back and front, so that you know. I didn't bother getting the 12 o'clock marker, but you can get a 12 o'clock marker if you want for colour, and that's probably good for lining it up in hindsight. But to be honest, if my tracking was a slight bit off and I was driving a motorway, that would drive me insane if that wasn't sitting at exactly 12 o'clock, which is why I haven't got it. So, label back to front, cut to suit the back and the front. The cuts are different in this one, it's pretty easy to see it. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so what I've done is just loosened up these trim pieces, all of them, so that I can get in behind and wrap the leather round. And all you do to loosen these up, I showed you this in the last video, I pry tool in just a little bit. You don't want to put it in too much because it goes right behind the plastic of the steering wheel, you see that? You want to get it in there. And just a wee edge, once you get one bit of this popped out, get your hand in the back and just pop the rest out. No need to bring them all the way out because the steering wheel wrap only goes in there. So, okay, let's put the wrap back on. One thing you should do is give it a clean before you put this on, because it is going to be held down initially with sticky tape. So you don't really want it to be lifting when you're doing it. So give it a good clean with some leather cleaner before you start. So the next step is start putting double-sided tape that comes with the kit on it, and the instructions, they are actually pretty good. It does tell you not to put them too close to the edge, because that's the bit you'll be sewing. So it needs to have a little bit of leeway in there just to make you get the stitches in. So put this all around the inside of all the panels. So it could be here a little while. And also, by the looks of it, not to put them in the middle bit here, because that's the bit that we wrap round. So let's crack on with that. Okay, so there's how we're looking with all the tape on it. I'm going to just test fit the cover again over the wheel before we start taking off this tape. I might put some extra wee bits and pieces in here. The instructions do state, look as if it's just along the kind of edges, but you know, not too close, and it's lots of wee pieces, so plenty of tape left. I don't really want to overdo it, because we're here all day picking it off, but that's looking pretty good. Alright, so with these out, it's much easier just to tuck the cover behind them, and then we'll pop that back on. It will hold it firmly in place. Now I'm going to leave them out just now, just in case I need to do some small adjustments, but I've got it lined up as best I can. You can see here at the bottom it's lined up pretty much perfectly with the two flaps, and having these loose just makes life a lot easier. So I think we shall start with one of these smaller stitching areas first, then we'll tackle the big one once I'm confident that it's lined up properly. Kinda wishing I'd got a 12-point marker now just for the installation alone, but anyway, it's looking pretty good. Okay, let's try getting the tape off. Okay, that's me just taking the cover off the tape, and as you can see here, I've got it so the stitching pretty much lines up exactly with the original stitching. So the line of the join will be exactly in line with the original one. I'm just going to do one bit at a time, so if I mess up I can correct it. But so far that's looking pretty decent. Really like this carbon fibre bit. I thought it would feel quite weird, but it feels great. Okay, let's go. Okay, so what I've done here is, for the length of thread that I need for this section, I've measured twice the width of the steering wheel, and we've got this, and I've just knotted it at one end so that when we pull it through it will stop on the first hole. And we're going to start from here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is going to the first hole and threading the needle from the inside out. I'm going to pull it through until we reach the knot. There we are. Then I'm going to go over the other side, go in the first hole there from that side, and pull it through again. Alright, so once I went through the first one, I'm just going back and forth around every stitch, and what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing the cover together, putting the stitch in and then pulling it tight so that it's not pressured on the thread. It's actually sitting there properly stuck together and resting the way it should be, so there's no tension on this. So repeat that process all the way up until the end. And we seem to have a problem here. This little guy could really ruin my day. And there we have it. After about, let's be honest here, 3 hours, because I stitched every single stitch. I didn't skip any, I didn't do 2 at a time, I did every single stitch. And I adjusted it until the stitching was perfectly in line with the middle of the wheel on all sides, and it's tucked in. Look at that, that's perfect. Tucked in there, it's tucked in there, and it's tucked in there. Absolutely perfect. It actually looks factory, and it feels so much better. I've got my carbon fibre bits here, and we're going to get a new bit for the middle here, because this one, don't know if you can pick it up, is a little bit scratched in here and there, a wee bit of damage there. You can see it much worse in person. And Eastdetailing, absolutely brilliant. That is one of the best jobs I've ever done in a car, to be brutally honest, because it's something that you can instantly see, and it's the thing that you hold the most. So I think maybe I had to do every stitch, possibly because of the change of material from carbon fibre to perforated leather, because it was just kind of bumping up a little bit in places. But it's turned out absolutely spot on. Highly recommend Eastdetailing. I'll leave the link down below, specifically for this cover that I bought. You can get it in anywhere. You can get it completely perforated leather. You can get it in suede, Alicante. You can pick your stitching. You can get a 12 o'clock marker. Superb. Very, very worthwhile.